You know the classic story where the hero leaves his large, powerful city, moves to a smaller area, and then has to stand up and defend? Okay, you know the drill here. Didn't go very well the first time, but we are running it back. It's the PDL quarterfinals, first round of the playoffs. Our Halifax Masquerade men went 4-4 in the regular season and snuck in just under the wire as the number 8 seed, and that means after getting absolutely blown out by the Ontario Minccinos in week 8, we are immediately up against the Minccinos again. So you've seen all this before. There's not a ton to talk about. The Minccinos have gotten first place in the regular season by just combining a crazy set of synergies together. We've got the Polytoad and Clawitzer for rain-boosted water spam. They have Trick Room stuff available with Mimikyu and Clawitzer. They have Perish Trap available with Polytoad and Gotharita. The Gotharita can also set Trick Room to enable the Clawitzer or the Mimikyu. They have Toracat providing support to everything with Intimidate, Fake Out, Parting Shot. They have Furret providing support to everything with mainly Follow Me, so that Polytoad and Clawitzer can throw off those powerful attacks, or Mimikyu can set up a Swords Dance also enabled by its Disguise, or they can do a Perish Trap game with, again, Polytoad and Gotharita. And all that, and I've only mentioned 6 Pokemon because those are the only 6 that they brought for the entire season while winning almost every single set. But they do also have Trapinch, Drillbur, Steenie, Mincino, and Cottony available to mix things up in some ways if they want. They have the Tailwind option. No, Cottony doesn't get Tailwind. They have other support available with Cottony. They have ways to mix up their type coverage, and they actually did say something on Discord about bringing Trapinch against me in the quarterfinals, though I don't think I'll believe it, but we'll see if it's true. So this is a very familiar matchup, and obviously it did not go very well last week, and this week I haven't spent as much time as I thought I would really hammering things out in the team builder. There's been other stuff going on. I was out of town for a bit. I'm tired, but I have had a lot of time to at least think in more general terms about the matchup, and we'll see how I did at hammering out the specifics. And I had a few different ideas for how I can approach this. Let's lead with this. I am not bringing the fun, silly idea that I teased last week. That was skill swap Galarian Slowking, so that if they try to Perish Trap me, I can make it so that it is in fact they who are trapped. That's a very funny idea, but it's also extremely situational, and given that they didn't seem all that interested in Perish Trapping me last week, I don't think it's worthwhile. Even so, thinking over the matchup, I came up with, broad strokes, 2 very different and mutually exclusive ways that I thought I could approach it. And one of those ideas was a hard Trick Room team with like Torkoal, Slowking, Gastrodon, even Sudowoodo, Haunter because it's my other Trick Room setter, and probably Skiploom with Rage Powder to enable the Trick Room setup. So that would have really been something, bringing Sudowoodo and Skiploom against this in the playoffs. It could have been fun, but I have in the end chosen the other path, and it involves bringing all of the same 6 Pokemon that I brought last week, but I have changed their sets. Basically, the theory here is this is kind of been Oricorio's season in a way. Like, all 4 forms of Oricorio went undrafted, but then 2 of them were picked up in free agency. One by me, and of course one by the Iridescent Terrapagos, and both have absolutely popped off some weeks. And so I think we're going to live by the Oricorio, die by the Oricorio here. And what's more, I still actually really like Quiver Dance Pom Pom Oricorio's matchup into this team, which relies largely on special attacks. Except for the worry about Perish Song, right? It's hard to trust the setup mode when your opponent has that Perish Trap pressure to bring against you. So this week, I am bringing the same 6 Pokemon, but I have tweaked all of their sets, and what we're doing is committing harder to Oricorio as a win con, with the other slot used to disrupt the opponent, mostly to make that Polytoad uncomfortable, so that they can't sing the song that will ruin my day. It starts with the Oricorio. This time I'm running Terra Fairy instead of Ghost. Given how much I've invested in trying to deny the Perish Song in the first place, I don't consider switching out of the trap quite as valuable this time. And given that the Scarf Clawitzer blew me up pretty badly last week, I am definitely worried about what kind of damage Clawitzer can do this week. And Fairy typing, of course, covers for pretty much everything Clawitzer normally throws at you, except its Water Stab. It's immune to Dragon Pulse, it resists Dark Pulse and Aura Sphere. We'll talk about the Water Stab in a little bit, but that's the basic idea here. I have the Covert Cloak on Oricorio because I think it's very important that Oricorio be able to set up or heal whenever I get the chance, and I have not made room for Protect in this moveset. It was a tough choice, but I am worried that considering how much of my team is is focused on just supporting the Oricorio about giving the Mimikyu free chances to set up. So I do think Feather Dance is actually important this time. I do want to be able to aggressively click that into Mimikyu if it is sitting on the field causing trouble for me. That means Feather Dance over Protect this week. All in on bulk, especially physical bulk, because the Quiver Dance will of course boost the special bulk, and Oricorio's intended role here is to lead each game and sit on the field, hopefully all the way to the end, because I don't have a whole lot of damage without it. Up next we have Grookey. Grookey is running Fake Out and Taunt to enable Oricorio, disrupt the opponent's game plan. I do have the Grassy Surge as well. Obviously, if I Terrastallize Oricorio, it can be healed by Grassy Terrain. If I don't, it can't. So I'm not really prioritizing that as like a plan A, although I think Oricorio is very likely to Terrastallize. The other thing about Terra Fairy Oricorio really quickly, I have gone with Revelation Dance for the attack this week instead of Hurricane, so I do have that 100 accuracy, but slightly weaker neutral coverage to my opponent's team. But Revelation Dance notably is super effective into Politoed and Clowitzer before they Terrastallize, and those are my opponent's main damage dealers. And if they do Terrastallize, it'll probably be Terra Dragon. My opponent has been spamming that all season, and then Fairy Revelation Dance is strong into that. Anyway, all that said, after Oricorio Terrastallises, maybe it can benefit from the Grassy Terrain. But otherwise, Grookey is here to Fake Out before the Gothorita can, but also aggressively click Taunt into Politoed. I want Politoed taunted basically whenever possible this week, again, so that it can't click that devastating Perish Song. And the rest of Grookey's moveset here is to Disrupt, have the Fake Out, have the Knockoff to remove an item, deal with something like that Scarf Clowitzer, potentially. And then U-turn to get Grookey off the field, get another Fake Out / Taunt user in. It does feel a little bit weird not running Woodhammer, but my opponent can pretty well cover for that with things like Torracat and Dragon Terror anyway, as demonstrated last week, and Grookey's here for support, not damage. Eviolite with a lot of bulk, mostly special bulk, is going to be a theme for non-Oricorio Pokemon this week because that Clowitzer is such a menace, and so is the Politoed in the right circumstances. My opponent doesn't have as much physical damage except from the Mimikyu. And still running Terra Water because there's no Water Terra Blast this time, but it is a good defensive Terra type for Grookey in this matchup. Next is Hitmonlee, also running Fake Out and Taunt and Knockoff. Same first three moves, not a coincidence. This is what we're trying to do with the other slot a lot of the time while Oricorio sets up. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, but that's the game plan. Again, I want Politoed taunted whenever possible. Close Combat gives me some kind of other damage besides setting up with Oricorio, so I can throw probably a strong neutral hit into a Politoed or a Clowitzer. It's not so good into Mimikyu, but can't cover for everything. And then, I have Terra Dark to boost the damage on Knockoff into something like Gothorita. If I can get a quick KO on a Pokemon like Gothorita, that could be valuable here. I'm not prioritizing it like I did last week, but that's why I have Terra Dark on the Hitmonlee. I don't really feel very strongly about Hitmonlee's Terra type. I don't think it's very likely to Terrastallize, but if I'm thinking about a situation where I might want to, I guess the boosted damage on Knockoff is pretty nice. No speed investment means I'm relying on Unburden for the speed control, and I have gone back and forth on whether I want a normal gem or a grassy seed to activate Unburden this week. I am leaning normal gem because I want to be able to send Hitmonlee in before Grookey, so Hitmonlee might hit the field in a game for the first time with no grassy terrain up yet, and I do want it outspeeding, especially Politoed to land that taunt into it. Grookey is not so reliably able to outspeed Politoed. Its speed investment here is for uninvested Politoed, but I didn't really try to speed creep any other kind of Politoed with this set, and that is the one flaw for Grookey as a support Pokemon here. So Hitmonlee being able to play a similar role at high speed without necessarily relying on Grookey, I think justifies the normal gem. And if I can have a faster Fake Out than Gothorita and land that into Politoed turn 1 anyway, I mean, unless there's a Covert Cloak, which there could be, I'm probably okay not taunting it immediately in that turn 1 situation while I activate my Unburden boost. Up next is Taunter, if you will. With this, I have brought every Pokemon on my team that learns Taunt except Froakie, and I did actually strongly consider bringing Froakie as well. Haunter's set was a little bit hard to pin down. I knew I wanted to be disruptive, be a headache for my opponent. And you can see here I have Encore Disable, that combination, along with Taunt. But in the end, I squeezed Protect out of this set, kind of like Oricorio. I think this kind of set works better with Protect, but I just wasn't comfortable with Haunter doing no damage at all, especially when the whole team is lacking a fair bit of damage outside of Oricorio. So maybe I'll change my mind. I'm recording on Friday night. We're supposed to play early tomorrow morning. There's not a lot of time to change my mind, but maybe I will. But right now, I have no Protect. That is a casualty of 4 move slot syndrome. It's Shadow Ball for damage, it's Terra Ghost, so I can boost that damage if I want, because I don't think a defensive Terra type is of much value on Haunter, especially when, again, it is trained here to outspeed Politoed and land that faster taunt into it. But I imagine I can bring Haunter in after something like Grookey or Hitmonlee has been knocked out, and I have the Encore Disable options available as well, whatever seems more disruptive in a position. Yeah, so that's the plan there. That about covers it for Haunter. I've run the Focus Sash a lot of times before. Up next is Lilligant. Lilligant is running a wide lens because I do not want to miss my sleep powders. Own tempo for the same reason as last week. I'm not running Sun, so Lilligant's other abilities are useless. Once again, it is here to outspeed Politoed. I believe it outspeeds... I don't know if it outspeeds max speed Politoed with this set. I think it probably doesn't. This doesn't look like enough EVs, but I'm not expecting to face max speed Politoed. If I do, maybe they just get me and they deserve it. But I wanted a fair bit of bulk on Lilligant. It was taking a lot from Clawitzer Dragon Pulse last week, and I don't want to take that threat lightly this time. I also am running Terra Fairy for similar reasons to the Fairy Terra on Oricorio, although I think Oricorio is far more likely to Terrasilize than Lilligant. Lilligant doesn't get Taunt, but Sleep Powder does shut down Perish Song just as well, except into a Terra Grass or Safety Goggles Politoed. I have Quiver Dance available for the double Quiver Dance. I have Pollen Puff available to heal Oricorio, and then just protect in the last slot. I think Lilligant, I mean, again, it feels a little bit weird without a Grass Stab, but I think I want to be able to preserve it in some positions if I can. Keep that Sleep Powder available, hopefully not missing with the Wide Lens. And Oricorio is meant to be the carry here, or if Oricorio doesn't carry, then I probably just lose, so a lot of the team building choices reflect that, as I've been saying. Finally, I really did think about Froakie for the last slot. My opponent has a team that likes to pivot around, so Toxic Spikes actually could be kind of funny. Froakie gets Taunt. Froakie is faster than Gothorita and can at least creep uninvested Politoed. I could bring Choice Scarf Switcheroo again, even. But I feel like Froakie might be loading up too much on one specific kind of Pokemon, you know, a role that's already filled by all 3 of these guys. And I think that Gastrodon has some value, even just at Team Preview in this matchup, because it discourages the opponent from just spamming Water Pulse and Weather Ball with Clawitzer and Politoed. So Gastrodon is here. I am bringing out every bit of good fortune, every good luck charm I can think of this week. I don't remember if I mentioned it yet. I meant to, but I have made all of these Pokemon shiny this week for good luck. But I also am bringing back the Bright Powder Gastrodon that, if you think about it, saved the season all the way back in week 2. Because every single point of differential, even the win-loss record as well, but also every point of differential counted for making the playoffs this season. And Bright Powder Gastrodon did save that one set so many weeks ago. So it's back here. More the superstitious good luck charm sense than me expecting it to actually activate it, but it'll be nice if it does. But with Storm Drain, I discourage those Weather Balls and Water Pulses. I probably don't bring it to Game 1. I might bring it to Game 2. But if I do, I also can park it on the field next to Oricorio, and then as long as they don't remove the Gastrodon, and you can see this Gastrodon is fully invested in Bulk, mostly on the special side, and it has that Bright Powder. As long as the Gastrodon is still there on the field, Clawitzer has no good damage into Oricorio unless it's running some unexpected coverage, because Terra Fairy Oricorio handles all the usual coverage from Gastrodon. It just has to worry about the Water Stab, from Clawitzer. It just has to worry about the Water Stab, and then Gastrodon takes care of that. Otherwise, the set is pretty simple. Muddy Water, Earth Power, Ice Beam. Earth Power and Ice Beam have nice coverage into my opponent's team. Ice Beam in particular is valuable because they like to spam Dragon Terra, and I don't have a lot of Ice-type damage on my team otherwise. And then Muddy Water can be boosted by their Rain. Give me some spread damage, break a Disguise, maybe mess with Torracat. And, of course, there could be clutch accuracy drops. Could be helpful with the Bright Powder. I'm not really confident in the last move. I've thrown in Protect because it feels like the default move for this position, and I don't have a lot of Protects on my team, and I feel a little bit weird about that, so it's nice to fit it in where I can. But I'm always thinking about Yawn on Gastrodon. Maybe I'll continue to think about it before tomorrow morning, but I don't think it's very likely. So that's the team. Same 6 Pokemon as before, but with a more focused game plan. It's all about enabling the Oricorio. I have the Bright Powder Gastrodon. Everybody's shiny. We're cashing in all of our good fortune chips here. And either this Oricorio game plan is going to work or it isn't. So I believe VGC players call that a 50-50. Alright, it's the playoffs. I changed Haunter to Terra Normal so that it can mess with Mimikyu and not just be blown up by Shadow Sneak. That change was in the back of my mind when I was recording last night, but I hadn't committed to it yet. Now I have. I see they did bring a different Pokemon this time. It's not the same 6 that they brought for the entire season. So who's not here? Furret. And in its place is Steenie. Steenie does not get Queenly Majesty. It does get Triple Axle, I think. So... And I have Oricorio with no flying attack, and my whole team built around that. Alright, well... we'll see how that goes. So... I mean, the plan is what I said, right? It's lead Oricorio with one of Grookey, Hitmonlee, and Haunter. I think Haunter's okay. Maybe I prefer Hitmonlee, though. Grookey, I like Grookey, except there's no guarantee that it's faster than Politoed. I've only crept uninvested Politoed with Grookey. Haunter or Hitmonlee will be faster than Politoed. I'm going to do Hitmonlee. I can click Knockoff into something. I have the speed advantage after I activate Unburden. I'll certainly bring Grookey and Haunter, I think. We'll see what adjustments to make in Game 2. I was going to say if we get there, but we'll definitely get to Game 2. Okay, alright, Clawitzer, Gothorita. Hopefully it's not Trick Room stuff this time. It might be. Right, they might bring that mix up. But I'm just going to fake out into Clawitzer, yeah, and go straight for a Quiver Dance. Big fake out. They fake out Oricorio, but that's okay. That's where the Covert Cloak is this time. Clawitzer flinches. I'll go for a knockoff into Clawitzer next. We can see if it's running the Scarf again. And just another Quiver Dance. Protect. Okay, no Scarf. We can be sure of that. And there's the Trick Room. Okay, so it is Trick Room this time. I thought about taunting the Gothorita that turn, and I guess I should have. But what can you do? The good news is there shouldn't be any great damage threat into Oricorio immediately right now. I can click Knockoff, or I can switch to Grookey. I think I'm okay with just Knockoff into Gothorita. If Hitmonlee goes down, I mean, Grookey is pretty much also here to play the same role. Just keep Quiver Dancing. Okay, they do knock out Hitmonlee. Do I go Grookey here? I think so. Grookey. Fake out Clawitzer, and I think I just keep Quiver Dancing. I think I want to start attacking when the Trick Room ends, instead of just letting something like Mimikyu or Torracat get in easily here. See, they're taking their time with this turn. Okay, they protect the Clawitzer. Maybe I should have read that after they did that earlier. But you can see especially bulky Grookey takes that Psychic pretty well. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Grassy Glide. I could taunt Gothorita. I think I'll go for the knockoff into Gothorita right now. And yeah, I'll look to start attacking with Oricorio at the end of the Trick Room, like I said. But removing Gothorita's Eviolite should be very helpful. There's the Terra Dragon on the Clawitzer. Gonna land a... Oh, I thought they were gonna go for the KO into Grookey. Instead, they do some damage to Oricorio. Definitely some damage. And of course, Oricorio does not get the terrain recovery right now because it's a flying type. I could U-turn here. Get Haunter in after these two move. I'll U-turn the Gothorita slot and I'll also Revelation... Okay, it protects. Fair enough. This is actually kind of awkward because Oricorio is taking some damage from that Clawitzer, but I think I can throw another attack at the Gothorita this turn and look to Roost after. I mean, barring a crit, take another Dragon Pulse. So let's U-turn and Revelation Dance this slot. Okay, just KOs actually. Maybe U-turn was not the play, because now I bring Haunter in. They can break the Sash if they want. They go for Oricorio instead, okay. Oh, do I lose to Mimikyu now? Maybe. But they position that well then, right? Because... Gotta break the disguise. They position that well because I had an obvious strong incentive to attack the Gothorita that turn. Okay, they do actually let me get the Roost. I do kind of waste my action into Mimikyu, but I can go for Encore now into Mimikyu. They can get around that with a Shadow Sneak, but they don't yet know that I have it. So they might not. And let's go for another Roost here. No need to take too many risks. Okay, they do let me lock Mimikyu into Protect. Dark Pulse Haunter. Here I'll just... I think it's time actually to show the Fairy Revelation Dance. I'll Shadow Ball this slot. Terra Fairy, Revelation Dance into Clawitzer. Okay, last Pokemon is Politoed. Clawitzer protects. Would have been nice to just snipe it there, but what can you do? I crit Politoed with the the Shadow Ball. But I can Encore the Clawitzer now and Revelation Dance the Politoed. And it's not quite over yet, but this game is looking pretty solid. There could still be some crazy crit or something, I think. But this is so far going a lot better than either of the games last week. That's for sure. I guess the question is, even if it works now, and I think it probably will it work a second time? Politoed's knocked out. Clawitzer's locked into Protect, and it can't switch out now. There is still the Mimikyu to worry about. It can Shadow Sneak, of course. It also could Swords Dance. But I don't think it's going to do that when I'm threatening the Encore block, right? So I'm just going to double into it here. Yeah. No Shadow Sneak. So I should land the Shadow... no, it might be faster than Haunter. It depends on how it's trained. Nope, not faster than Haunter. We just knock it out here, and that should be a Game 1 win. I mean, yeah, Clawitzer will just drop to Revelation Dance unless it gets this Protect here. And it doesn't. So we do take Game 1 this time. But the question is, again, can I do that once more? Let's see. I do think I just run that mode back, right? Do I bring any different Pokemon this time, though? The Encore Haunter really put in work there. But maybe they play differently in front of it. But maybe they don't. It could be hard to adjust on the fly into that kind of pressure. Basically, what I'm thinking about here is, do I want to bring Gastrodon? So that it can't just click Weather Ball and Water Pulse into Oricorio. But I think I'm just gonna run it back with the same mode this game. And if they find a way to beat it, I'll try to handle that in Game 3. Maybe we'll see the Steenie. I didn't show Feather Dance in Game 1, so they probably don't know that I don't have a flying attack on Oricorio, unless something about the way I used my coverage telegraphs that, but I don't think there's anything that does, because the Electric and Fairy coverage was all pretty solid into what they brought. They probably still... They might think I have Protect, or they might think I have a flying type attack, but I didn't show the Feather Dance. Alright, it's Gothorita and Politoed this time. So, yeah, we fake out Politoed first turn. Oh, you know what they can do? They can set Trick Room and then Perish Song. Okay, but they can't do that and fake out Hitmonlee at the same time. Alright, so there's no risk-free way to do this. But I think there's a case for just taunting Politoed immediately. If Gothorita clicks Fake Out, then Fake Out into Politoed is better. If Gothorita clicks Trick Room, then Taunt into Politoed is better. I'm gonna go for Taunt. Air Dragon, Dance. There's no Fake Out. Okay. But it's just Weather Ball Politoed. Oh, that does a lot too. In fact, that KOs now. Alright, so there's a downside to the Taunt. I can't save Oricorio here, so I do actually just lose Oricorio immediately and probably lose the game on the spot. I mean, unless something really silly happens with this damage roll. Oh, they just double into it? Okay, fair enough. That's good, nice and safe for them. I can Terra Dark Hitmonlee here. Right? I can fake out Politoed. I mean, I'm playing from behind for the rest of this game, really. I don't think... my whole game plan was all in on Oricorio. I don't think there's a way without it. This is tricky, though, because I should have brought... probably brought Terra Ghost on more things like last time. Right? Because even having Gastrodon wouldn't necessarily help here. I wouldn't be able to switch it in on the Weather Ball. Knockoff almost KOs Gothrita, but not quite. And now Politoed is free to move again. Hitmonlee has that lowered special defense still. Yeah, I mean, this one's pretty cooked. I may have found a way to win one game, but still not the set. But let's see. I think they'll knock out Hitmonlee here. Oh, okay, we get rid of the Gothrita first. Oh, Hitmonlee survives. Alright, but there's still another turn of Trick Room. Gothrita's gone. Let's see what the last two Pokemon are. Clawitzer and Mimikyu. I think Clawitzer just takes a KO now, right? I can switch, but I don't think I want to because I don't want to lose Haunter's Focus Sash. I think if I am going to win this game, I need the Haunter. I'm going to double target... Yeah, I'll double target the Mimikyu here. Okay, it knocks out Hitmonlee with a Shadow Sneak. That's fair. Life Orb Mimikyu. Grookey takes the Dragon Pulse, even at -1 special defense, thanks to all that bulk. Trick Room ends. The problem is I don't have enough damage. But... Mimikyu does have Shadow Sneak, by the way. I thought that it didn't after game 1. So there's probably no but. I think I just lose this. If I had Woodhammer, maybe there'd be a way, but I don't. I'm just going to play to my out, which I think is Shadow Ball Mimikyu, knock off Clawitzer. Mimikyu Shadow Sneaks. What does Clawitzer go for? Dark Pulse. Knocks me down to the Sash. Yeah, I think that's just it, right? Taunt does nothing here. Encore does nothing here. Disable. It can just change moves. Shadow Ball. Not going to KO. No. Not even with a crit. Alright, so we lose game 2. Do I have a way to pull this back in game 3? The Politoed just clicking Weather Ball is a menace. And again, the problem is... if I lead Gastrodon instead... You know what I can do? You know what? I think the answer is just hope they don't have Perish Song. I think that's the answer. It's not impossible that they don't have Perish Song. I think I anticipate the Politoed Gothrita lead again. I know that... Well, hold on. Okay. Hold on. If my opponent wants to start the timer, fair enough, but I'm not going to do it right now. Did I lead Haunter or Oricorio? No. Yes. Haunter or Oricorio, taunt Gothrita, if it's the same lead. Taunt Gothrita. Disable Politoed's Weather Ball. Does that work? I don't know if that... But I can't also taunt the Politoed then. The alternative is Gastrodon or Oricorio. Just click Muddy Water with Gastrodon. Rain boosted, but I haven't really invested in special attack. I haven't invested at all in special attack this week, unlike last. I redirect the Weather Ball, but I just lose if it's Perish Song. I think I'm going to go Haunter or Oricorio. But I think I will bring Gastrodon this time. Yes. And Hitmonlee? Honestly, there's a case for Lilligant. Hitmonlee or Lilligant? Okay, wait. What? Sorry, opponent. One more time. Gastrodon or Oricorio, I think, just loses if they have Perish Song. Haunter. Oh, wait. If I lead Haunter or Oricorio, then I can switch Haunter in. Or I can switch Haunter out, and I can bring Gastrodon in on a Weather Ball. So I don't have to disable the Weather Ball. I can taunt Gothorita, or I can taunt Politoed. Taunt Politoed, switch Gastrodon in. Okay. Yeah, that works. Last Pokemon. Well, it's the best I've got. I don't know if it works. Last Pokemon, Lilligant or Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee. Gives me non-Oricorio damage. Right? Because I have that close combat for neutral damage into things. They lead Politoed Clawitzer. Not what I anticipated. Uh-oh. Alright, well, let's hope they don't have Perish Song. I'm just going to hard switch Gastrodon in. I didn't bring it to the first 2 games, so they might be sleeping on it now. River Dance. That is a good mix-up from the opponent, though. I was just completely ready for them to just run back the Politoed Gothorita lead. And I'm sure the Gothorita is lurking in the back, and I might well lose to it. But we'll see. This has gone way better than Week 8, and I'm really enjoying this set, whatever happens. Perish Song, okay. Alright. Alright, the Perish Song immediately. The Gothorita is not on the field. Obviously, if I switch, I lose a fair bit of initiative. I'm not going to switch with Gastrodon. Am I willing to let Gastrodon go down? How do I play this? Oh, no. I think I want to switch Hitmonlee into the Oricorio slot and just click Muddy Water with Gastrodon. It's my first instinct. It gets boosted damage into Gothorita if that switches in. The problem is I just throw Gastrodon away and then they can overwhelm me with Water-type attacks in the rest of the game. And the other problem is I give up my boosts on Oricorio, but I've still lost 40% of its HP. But I think that's how it's going to be. Yeah, there's the Gothorita. Politoed goes Terra Dragon. Goes for Encore into Oricorio, presumably. Nice tech. They can now Encore the Gothorita, or the Gastrodon. That would be unpleasant for me. I'm going to try to Ice Beam Politoed. They'll just protect this turn anyway, right? Alright, I'll click Muddy Water. Fake out. Go off. Get the jump on its fake out if it goes for that. But I think it'll probably just protect. But I mean, what can I do? My guys are my guys are switched. My guys are trapped. If I just double switched and gotten Haunter back in there, it actually was free because they didn't go for any damage that turn, but I thought they would. Yeah, there's the Encore into Gastrodon. I mean, I am starting to get damage on Gothorita. I assume they'll just protect this turn, but I can Muddy Water. They'll protect the Gothorita, I mean. I can Muddy Water. I would like to knock off Gothorita, but I don't think it's going to let me, so I think it's better to knock off the Politoed slot. Or if they let Politoed go down, that is amazing for me, but I don't think they will. Nope, it's Clawitzer coming in. Get some damage, get rid of its safety goggles. Interesting. I didn't end up bringing Lilligant to any games, but I thought about it. We crit Gastrodon, or we crit Clawitzer with a Muddy Water. I'm threatening a KO into Clawitzer right now. So I think that means I can get Oricorio in. Or, you know what I can do? Can I just pin them with Haunter and Hitmonlee? Shadow Ball the Gothorita slot, close combat the Clawitzer slot. How do they deal with that? They switch Mimikyu into the Clawitzer slot. Shadow Ball the Clawitzer, knock off the Gothorita. Can I do that? I haven't gotten Unburden on Hitmonlee, right? Oh, I have. Okay. Okay, they protect that. They let that go down. What's coming in? Politoed. Okay. I thought it might be Mimikyu. Taunt. Or just close combat. I think Taunt. I feel like there's some way they can still ruin my day with Perish Song here. And yeah, I still have the Clawitzer kind of pinned. Okay, we will break Mimikyu's Disguise on the switch in. What does Politoed go for? Weather Ball into Haunter. Yeah, makes sense. Breaks the Sash. Okay, so I can still lose to Mimikyu now. I could Terra Normal here. That means I give up the Terra Fairy on Oricorio, but I don't think I need it. I really don't think I need it. If they read this and protect Mimikyu, then I guess they deserve to go to the semifinals, but let's see. Got him. Well, got the Mimikyu at least. Politoed is still a problem. Actually, they still have Rain for a few more turns, and I have no protects on the board. I might just lose to their Water Spam now. But the Clawitzer is not terrestrialized. The problem is the Politoed can win. I kind of want to just click Disable into Politoed, but it can win a Perish endgame still, right? Do I have to just Shadow Ball? Do I know what kind of damage the Shadow Ball does to the Politoed? Have I clicked Shadow Ball into it before? I think what I want to do here is Revelation Dance Clawitzer, Shadow Ball Politoed, or Disable Politoed, whichever of those wins. What have I seen of its moves? Perish Song, Encore, Weather Ball. Okay, the Encore. Okay, I need to think through the Encore. Here's the thing. If I disable Politoed, I don't think it has any more damage. Question is, can it win a Perish endgame? And the answer is no if it has to take Shadow Balls, but if it can Encore Haunter, I'm just going to go for Disable into Politoed. I think it works. And Revelation Dance into Clawitzer. Clawitzer protects, okay. Disable. Oh, Politoed's taunted, right? So it just has to struggle now? Taunt ends, okay. Shadow Ball, Revelation Dance. Oh my god, I won. Oh, the Ontario Minccinos were mortal after all. GG's. I really thought the season was probably over here, especially after what happened last week, but I finally figured out this matchup just barely well enough. Oh man, incredible season though from the Ontario Minccinos. New coach to the league, by the way. And they really put us all on notice. This team was an absolute nightmare. I have a feeling some of the rest of the playoff field will be thanking me for this one. I didn't mention, I actually meant to and I forgot. The last two PDL seasons, I lost in the quarterfinals to the eventual champion, and I thought it was going to be 3 in a row now, but we figured this one out just well enough, and that means semifinals next week. I already know who the opponent is going to be, but I'll keep that information for Friday's video, of course, but please do come back next week, and we'll see if I can keep cooking here. GG's again, though.